So when we are going to reimagining, we need to focus on our legacy also. We need to focus on our perspective or context also. For example, I would like to make this point clear by citing one thing. And I don't know how many of you are aware on the report of World Commission on Environment and Development. Report of World Commission on Environment and Development. The name of the report of this commission was Our Common Future. I'm sure many of you must be not aware by this name, but as soon as I'll say Brundtland Commission report, many of you will be nodding your head in positive sense. Brundtland Commission report. So it was there was a commission on report to World Commission on Environment Development. The name of the report was Our Common Future, which is popularly known as Brundtland Commission, because this commission was chaired by Gro Harlem Brundtland in 1987. And this particular commission discussed the agenda for change. And if you look, if you go into the flashback, you will be finding that once this commission submitted its report, since then ESD has become a buzzword in the world of academia. ESD, Education for Sustainable Development, became a buzzword in the world of academia. But if you look at the Indian legacy thousands years back, it says that Isa Vashyamidam Sarvam Yat Kincham Jagatyam Jagat Ten Taktena Bhunjita Ma Gruduh Kasya Swadhinam. That means whatever you are going to use, whether it is water or trees or environment or whatever it is, whatever you are going to use it with having an attitude of sacrifice, having an attitude of justified use. So if you look at but as a nation, as a country, we ran behind the ESD once Brundtland Commission submitted its report. And that is why I strongly believe that so far as reimagining curriculum, reimagining pedagogy, reimagining assessment is concerned, irrespective of your subject, I am emphasizing on it, irrespective of your subject, irrespective of your level, any teacher, whosoever is a teacher, needs to make himself or herself aware on certain issues of curriculum, certain issues of pedagogy. For example, there are few issues on which you need to make your own understanding. You need to make your own understanding. For example, why is it necessary to understand the field of curriculum? What approach to curriculum do most educators adopt and why? How do we define curriculum? How do we define curriculum? What are the fundamental questions that guide the field of curriculum? How can theory and practice be integrated into the planning of curriculum? Then you can say, what forces, social or political, what forces influence curriculum? And then the most important issue is, how do we define our educational needs? How do we define our educational needs? Now NEP is in front of us, and we are going to define our educational needs, keeping in view the intent and content of NEP 2020. So how do we define our educational needs? How do we prioritize our needs? What are the guidelines for helpful in formulating educational objectives? So these are the questions. And when I'm sharing this question, I admit very honestly, very frankly, I admit that curriculum as a field of study has been characterized as elusive, fragmentary, and confusing. But my dear friends, my dear colleagues, curriculum as a field of study is very crucial to the health of schools and communities. I don't know how many of you are aware of, have gone through the last curriculum framework of National Curriculum Framework NCF SC 2005. National Curriculum Framework 2005. I don't know how many of you have read that curriculum framework meticulously. If you will be reading that curriculum, you will be finding that how we how we perceive, for example, National Curriculum Framework, because I don't want to waste your time and my time. I don't want to read that curriculum framework. You can read it later. But since we are going to reimagine, so these inputs will be helpful for us for reimagining. For example, NCF in the very beginning, in the preface itself, sets tone for curriculum framework, and then the curriculum framework says that whole curriculum framework will be addressing five guiding principles. Five guiding principles for curriculum development. So, what will be those curriculum those principles? The principle one was connecting knowledge to life outside the school. This was the first guiding principle for curriculum development. So these kind of we need to reflect upon. So I am referring here now NCF 2005 in detail. You can see by referring to that particular document, which is easily available at NCERT website, or you can find it in PDF from anywhere in internet. So the first principle was connecting knowledge to life outside the school. Number two principle was ensuring that learning shifts away from rote methods. Learning shifts away from rote methods. Principle three was enriching the curriculum so that it goes beyond the textbooks. Enriching the curriculum so that it goes beyond the textbooks. Then the principle four was making examinations more flexible and integrating with classroom life. And then the fifth guiding principle for NCF 2005 was nurturing an overriding identity informed by caring concerns within the democratic polity of the country. So these are the few concerns I wanted to make you aware in order to reimagine curriculum. Now, if you look at pedagogy, now this world of pedagogy is changing rapidly. You can see innovative pedagogies, flipped learning, mobile learning, innovative educators network. Then I can see two broad approaches in education, that is synchronous learning model and asynchronous learning model. Synchronous learning model and asynchronous learning model. When I'm saying synchronous learning model, I'm referring to the complete online module of teaching learning process, synchronous learning model. And when I'm referring to asynchronous learning model, this relates to blended mode of teaching learning process. And when in a country like India, we are majority part we are referring to asynchronous learning model, where we are using the web as medium for four issues. Under asynchronous learning model, we are using the web as medium for four issues. What are those four issues? Communication, collaboration, content hosting, and assessment. So far as curriculum is concerned, so far as pedagogy is concerned, until and unless we are aware on these backgrounds, we will not be in a position to bring or to suggest or to convey any changes. And when reimagining, I am here quoting here again Socrates. Socrates used to say, "Fellow citizens, why do you turn and scrap every stone to gather wealth, and so little care for your children, to whom one day must you relinquish it all?" That means when we are revisiting, we need to imagine the kind of scope it is going to give the whole in totality to the nation. Let me one more interesting thing let me share with you, and that I am taking from National NCFTE. Earlier I referred NCFSE. Now I am referring NCFTE, National Curriculum Framework for Teacher Education, 2009. I don't know. I really don't know how many of you have gone through this particular document. But if you have not gone through the document, at least read its preface once. Preface at least. Preface only. Why I'm saying preface? Because in preface, you will be finding many surprising things. For example, I'm sharing you few things from preface of this NCFTE 2009. Now, my dear friends, when you will be looking at the preface of NCF 2009, the very first line they have taken from Radhakrishnan Commission report. And now I am sure you are aware of the duration of Radhakrishnan Commission, that is 48-49. So in 48-49, Radhakrishnan ji is writing in his report in 48-49 that people in this country have been slow to recognize that education is a profession for which intensive preparation is necessary, as it is in any other profession. People in this country have been slow to recognize that education is a profession for which intensive preparation is necessary as it is in any other profession. This concern was expressed in University Education Commission's report. That means in order to become a teacher, we have been really slow to recognize that for becoming a teacher and opting a teacher in teaching as a profession, intensive preparation is necessary as it is in any other profession. And the same preface, they have quoted another line from Education Commission's report. And whenever I repeat this line, I really don't understand how to express the pain behind the present situation. So these lines they have taken from Kothari Commission's report 1964-66, and this particular line has become so popular that it has become a kind of multiple choice questions in different competitive examinations. What is that line? That line is, the destiny of India is now being shaped in her classrooms. The destiny of India is now being shaped in her classrooms. Which commission said this? I am sure you must have come across this multiple choice question ever in your life. The destiny of India is now being shaped in her classrooms. Friends, my dear colleagues, I really don't understand whether we could not understand the essence of this statement, or we deliberately ignored the essence of this statement. Otherwise, if the destiny of India is now being shaped in her classrooms, all the classrooms of India would have been structured, restructured, configured, groomed like anything. And similarly, the same preface quotes National Education Policy 86 document, where this preface they have taken from 86 policy, where they says that the status of the teacher reflects the socio-cultural ethos of the society. The status of the teacher reflects the socio-cultural ethos of the society, and it is said that no pupil can rise above the level of its teachers. So, my dear friends, my dear colleagues, such exhortations are indeed an expression of the important role played by the teachers as transmitters, inspirers, promoters, the knowledge. And therefore, while revisiting now, because I have already related it with the importance of demographic dividend, so we need to be very careful. Since I have switched over from Shantiniketan to Champaran, now my Mahatma Gandhi Central University is located in Champaran. I have started reading Mahatma Gandhi. One of the quotations I often use in my deliberations, where Mahatma Gandhi ji says that I have always felt that the true textbook for the pupil is the teacher. I have always felt that the true textbook for the pupil is the teacher. And then he further says, a true teacher is a role model who triggers the thought process of his students to realize their true potential. And then he further says, he teaches by practice and not merely by precepts. And forget about Mahatma Gandhi. If you read any great educationist, you will be like Rabindranath Tagore, like Vivekananda, like Swami Aurobindo Ghosh, and the list is so long, you will be finding the same tone and the same sense. So, my dear friends, this policy has come now, and I repeatedly repeat this statement, whether you like it or you dislike it or you praise it or you criticize it, this is immaterial, because policy is a reality now. We are in the process of implementation. So it is better to understand the policy clearly and categorically, and as much as possible, we need to convert all such intent and content into actionable action. If you look at the policy, in the very first two paragraphs, you will be finding that policy is focusing on SDG 4. What is this SDG 4? Sustainable Development Goal number 4. What is that goal number 4? Quality education. So this policy is focusing on SDG 4. And when I am referring to SDG 4 precisely, I'm sure you all are aware on the UNDP's 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which triggered the whole world, and so is India. As I have already mentioned, you can see the description of goal number 4 in the policy document in the second paragraph from the beginning itself. So if you look at all the 17 sustainable development goals, for example, goal number 1, no poverty; goal number 2, zero hunger; goal number 3, good health and well-being; goal number 4, quality education, or on which this national education policy 2020 is based; goal number 5, gender equality; goal number 6, clean water and sanitation; goal number 7, affordable and clean energy; goal number 8, decent work and economic growth; goal number 9, industry, innovation, infrastructure; goal number 10, reduced inequality; goal number 11, sustainable cities and communities; goal number 12, responsible consumption and production; goal number 13, climate action; goal number 14, life below water; goal number 15, life on land; goal number 16, peace and justice, strong institution; and goal number 17, partnership to achieve the goal. Partnership to achieve the goal. And when I have referred all the 17 goals, I believe that you are aware that all the sustainable development goals, which are also known as global goals, were adopted by United Nations member state in 2015. In 2015, as a universal call. As a universal call. What was that call? To add to action to end the poverty, to protect the planet, and to ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity by 2030. Peace and prosperity by 2030. And therefore, and also we understand that all the 17 sustainable development goals are integrated. All the 17 sustainable development goals are integrated. And when I'm saying that all the 17 sustainable development goals are integrated, that means what? That means they recognize that action in one area will affect the outcomes in others. And that is why, my dear friend, my dear colleagues, SDG 4, Sustainable Development Goal number 4, that is quality education, is having precise implications for education. You look at the policy document in the beginning itself, quoting SDG 4, policies as conceiving some goal for itself. What is that goal? That goal is ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all by 2030. So when the policy is conceiving such goal, policy is saying that such a lofty goal will require the entire education system to be reconfigured. The entire education system to be reconfigured. And when the policy is conceiving the reconfiguration of entire education system, my dear friends, my dear colleagues, let me make myself very clear that policy is taking reference from the legacy of ancient India on the one hand, and on the other hand, it is trying to make education system holistic, flexible, multidisciplinary, and aligned to the needs of 21st century and 2030 sustainable development goals. And when I'm referring these things, I'm sure you all are aware that we all are affected by the euphoria of national education policy for more than 1 year now. As we all know that July 29, Wednesday, Union Cabinet passed this ambitious, progressive, forward-looking new national education policy 2020, which aims at making the education system holistic, flexible, multidisciplinary, and aligned to the needs of 21st century and the 2030 sustainable development goals. And therefore, when we are going to reimagining this time, as I said, that policy, praising policy, criticizing policy is not going to help us. The issue, the point which is going to help us is understanding the policy. Not only understanding the policy, but also reflecting over implementation strategies for all its positive and constructive effects towards revamping Indian education system in particular and Indian society in general. So since we are going to reimagine, therefore, we need to keep certain challenges in front of us while reimagining the content curriculum, while reimagining the pedagogy, while reimagining the assessment. What are those challenges? Challenge one is coping with technology and digital divide. Coping with technology and digital divide. This is one challenge. Challenge number two is reaching unreach with quality education. Reaching unreach with quality education. And when I'm saying reaching unreach with quality education, my dear friends, my dear colleagues, this is the high time when we need to learn from Japanese model of education. When we need to learn from Japanese model of education. What is that Japanese model of education? In Japan, irrespective of locality, irrespective of location, irrespective of anything, they provide similar setup, similar infrastructure. In India, if you look at Delhi, you will be finding Jagmag Jagmag kind of institution. As soon as you will be reaching to the remote part of Tripura, you will be finding that hauling, jackals are hauling. So you will, so this is high time when we need to reach unreach with quality education, and Japanese, from Japanese examples, we need to learn. Then we need to ensure equity when private players on board. So far as reimagining curriculum and pedagogy is concerned, especially in public funded institution, that means we need to ensure equity with when on the other hand private players are working very hard. Then ensuring minimum essential resources in order to materialize, in order to actualize all the learning experiences which you have kept in your curriculum. Then we need to understand autonomy with accountability. Then we need to work on then we need to stop brain drain, and we need to create such inputs from where we can gain the brain. So this is really unfortunate that sitting in 2021, I'm still, I have to quote Malvika Joshi as an example of brain drain. So this is the high time when we need to work on brain gain, rather than reflecting, rather than thinking, rather than contemplating on brain drain. So brain gain, we need to work on brain gain, and we need to stop immediately brain drain. And then we need to work on raising aspirations, My dear colleagues, my dear friends, again, I congratulate this wonderful department of Hyderabad Central University to take up this assignment. And this assignment, I don't know, this is of 21 days, and I'm very sure that this 21 days will give you enough insights, enough inputs, so that you will be in a position to disseminate the positive aspirations, positive inputs around yourself. Then we need to work on our core values, and we all know that we are lacking on core values such as integrity, accountability, responsibility, morality, professionalism in a significant set and number of people. And when I'm referring to this, I often refer one book to read to all teachers. That book is written by very small and thin book, written by J. Krishnamurti, and the title of the book is Educating the Educator. Educating the Educator. This is a wonderful book. It says that if you can work, whatever is your location, if you can work at your location, and each one of us can start work at our own locations, the things will fall in line automatically. Then, my dear friends, this time we need to be very careful so far as quantification versus quality education, because we have pathetic experience, bad experience of 2 decades, 1990 and 2000, where we ran behind the quantification and we missed the bus so far as quality education, qualitative inputs, qualitative outcomes are concerned. And that is why we had to discuss on several issues. For example, learning outcome, expected learning outcome, minimum level of learning, all such things. So this time we cannot afford to go with quantification and lagging behind on quality parameters. So quantification versus quality education, we need to take care. And now, in order to reimagine, now I am reaching to the core of my deliberation in order to reimagine curriculum, in order to reimagine our pedagogy, in order to reimagine our assessment, in order to reimagine our student support, we need to understand the principles of NEP 2020 and principles of NEP 2020. I don't want to waste your time, my time, and therefore I'm recommending here, if you are referring to English version document, page number 5, page number 6, you can see these principles. I'm highlighting these principles only. So we need to understand the principles of NEP 2020. These principles will be helpful in formulating our implementation strategies, reimagining our curriculum, keeping in view the provisions and intent contained in the document itself. So there are few principles which are having precise implications for school education, with few are having which are having precise implications for higher education, and few are having implications for both. For example, the policy says that the fundamental principles that will guide both the education system at large as well as the individual institutions within it are, so first principle they say, recognizing, identifying and fostering the unique capabilities of a student. So this is the first principle. Second principle, they say to achieve foundational literacy and numeracy by all students by grade 3, to achieve foundational literacy and numeracy. And I'm happy to share with you that this policy has dared to write in the policy document itself, that if we could not achieve this principle of literacy and numeracy, the rest of the policy will become a waste. So this kind of intense policy is showing so far as achieving foundational literacy and numeracy is concerned. Then another principle is flexibility, so that the learners have ability to choose their learning trajectories and programs. Then the other principle is no hard separations. That means the earlier, if you remember your days, you will be finding that there was a huge difference between the arts and sciences, between curricular and extracurricular, between vocational and academic stream. Now the policy is focusing on no hard separation, and that is why the multidisciplinarity is being focused like anything. So as a teacher of school, as a teacher of higher secondary, as a teacher of university, we need to ensure that no hard separation kind of mentality we can create. Then you look at another principle, multidisciplinarity and holistic education. Then another principle is emphasis on conceptual understanding. I will be taking two concerns little later related to this particular principle. Then another principle is creativity and critical thinking. That means whatever reimagining you are going to do, so far as curriculum and pedagogy is concerned, we need to create input for creativity and critical thinking. Then unfortunately, after 7.5 decades also, the policy has to take values as one of the principles. So policy has taken one principle, ethics and human and constitutional values. Ethics and human and constitutional values, where the policy is quoting several values like empathy, respect, cleanliness, courtesy, democratic spirit, etc., etc. Unfortunately, during last 7.5 decades, we could not inculcate the values as expected, as desired. Then another principle says promoting multilingualism and power of language. Multilingualism and power of language in teaching and learning, life skills such as communication, etc. Then another principle where policy is focus on regular formative assessment for learning. And here in this principle, policy document is trying to target on coaching culture through this. So that is why I am telling you that these principles will be a boon for us when we will be working on reimagining curriculum and pedagogy. Until and unless you are having your own understanding on all such principles, nothing is going to be changed. Then another principle is extensive use of technology in both the process, in teaching, learning, and in governance also. Then respect for diversity, respect for local context. And when I'm saying respect for diversity, respect for local context, this policy document is saying that we need to ensure the diversity and local context in all curriculum, in all pedagogy, in all policy, always keeping in mind that the education is in a concurrent subject. Then policy is focusing on full equity and inclusion. Then the very important part synergy in curriculum across all levels of education. This is very important principle. Synergy in curriculum across all levels of education, from early childhood care and education to school education to higher education. So synergy in curriculum across all levels of education, and synergy in curriculum for a specific reason. Let me share with you that reason. See, the whole governance structure is going to be changed, especially in the field of higher education, where HECI will be an umbrella body, where that umbrella body, HECI, Higher Education Commission of India, will be taking care of 4 functions of governance like regulation, accreditation, funding, and academic standard. So now when HECI will be taking care of all these four functions, there will be four vertical bodies which will be taking care of each function and will be treated as vertical body to HECI. So the first vertical body will be NHERC, National Higher Education Regulatory Council, which will be taking care of regulatory function under HECI. Second body will be NAC, National Accreditation Council, which will be taking care of accreditation function under HECI. Third body will be HEGC, Higher Education Grants Council, which will be taking care of funding function under HECI. And the reason I have taken this part for fourth body, that will be GEC, General Education Council, which will be taking care of fourth function, that is academic standard, and will be supporting as fourth vertical body to HECI. Now, my dear friends, let me focus on the fourth vertical body, that is GEC, General Education Council. And when this whole transformation will be done, you will be finding that the present councils like NCTE, NCVT, ICAR, etc., all such councils will be converted into PSSBs. PSSBs. What is this PSSBs? Professional Standard Setting Bodies. Professional Standard Setting Bodies. And when they will be converted into professional standard setting bodies, after converting itself into professional standard setting bodies, they will be one of the members of GEC. And what is that GEC? GEC is the fourth vertical body of whom? Of HECI, that umbrella body. So try to connect the analogy. HECI will be an umbrella body. Under that umbrella body, fourth body is GEC. GEC will be having all. Now, all such bodies will be ensuring academic standard. And now, in order to ensure academic standard, they will be ensuring synergy in curriculum. In order to ensure synergy in curriculum, teachers from early childhood care and education to higher education will be fall in line so far as synergy in curriculum is concerned. And then after we will be in a position to actually transform the overall, reconfigure the system as policy is expecting. So we need to understand these issues so far as principle of policy is concerned. Then policy is focusing on many other issues, for example, multidisciplinarity, holistic education, etc., which has no concern with you, because as I have learned, majority of you are dealing with this secondary or senior secondary or higher secondary level of education. But you need to understand, because you are going to supply the kind of stuff to higher education, what kind of attitude you are going to frame through your reimagining curriculum and pedagogy. One more thing I would like to share, and then I will be stopping for interaction. This I am going to share with you from my own experience. What I have experienced during last more than 1 year is the teachers who are teaching in school education, they are reading part 1 of the policy. The teachers who are serving in higher education institutions, they are reading part 2 only. I have found very less number of people who are reading part 3 and part 4. So my dear colleagues, my dear friends, don't make such mistakes. This policy document is of only 66 pages, divided into 4 parts. Part 1 relates to school education. Part 2 relates to higher education. Part 3 relates to other key areas of focus. And part 2 relates to making it happen. So my request to you will be that read all the 4 sections. Why? Because, my dear friends, I am now highlighting that extensive use of technology, which was discussed as a principle. This particular area is deliberated in part 3 and part 4, where they have used technology use and integration. They have discussed on online and digital education. And what is the importance of this area? I am sharing with you an interesting report of ASMA report. ASMA means adoption of social media in academia. My dear colleagues, I am going to share two different statements from this report. Now, when I'll be sharing, I will be highlighting, however, but still you try to focus on each word I am going to use now from that particular report. The report says, number one, India's educational technology market I am underlining. India's educational technology market is expected to reach 30.8 billion US dollar by 2025 with a CAGR. CAGR means compound annual growth rate with a CAGR of 42.5%. 42.5%. So you can easily understand the term is being used, educational and technology market. Now, in second, somewhere else in the report says, as a decision maker of an education industry, I am underlining industry. As a decision maker of an education industry, you must be aware that India is leading in educational technology revolution. In the 21st century, and the reasons are cultural transformation, increasing educational demand, and educational technologies. So, my dear friends, keeping in view the intent and content of policy, keeping in view such reports, as a teacher, we need to be very aware. We need to be really aware. Why? Because policy is focusing on several technologies, emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, like machine learning, like virtual reality, like augmented reality, like blockchain technology, like cloud technology, etc. And I am sure you are aware that all such technological interventions, now we are already having interventions in different domains of our educational institutions. What are those domains? For example, admission management, for example, campus placement management, for example, institute operation management, for example, alumni management, library management, learning management. So all such domains of an educational institution is being intervened by different technological advancements, and therefore we need to make ourselves very highly updated and clear and acquainted with all such advancements. Now, my dear friends, when we be doing all these things, there are certain challenges, such apprehensions are there. For example, policy somewhere is saying that implementing common standards and norms. So the intent is good, but I was reading one report at newspaper where that report was saying that in small data was there from 2010 to 2015 in India, every day on an average 6 institutions were opened, including Saturdays and Sundays, and majority of those institutions belonged to politicians, to supporter of politicians, to property dealers, to middle-sized businessmen, to great and big industrialists. So when the number of such institutions belonging to this kind of strata, implementing common standards and norms will be facing little resistance. I don't want to say that it is impossible, but it will be difficult, and it will be needing extra assertive political will. Another apprehension is related with the percentage of expenditure, this idea of GDP, 6% of GDP. So all such expectations which I have shared as of now, all such expectations will be needing huge investment, and this magical figure of 6% of GDP, which is there with us since 1966, since Kothari Commission's report, we need to still work on this magical figure. Then existing human resources needs to be reoriented. For example, today we are having 31, including me, 31 participants are here. But if you look at the India as a country, you'll be finding that a massive number is there, which needs orientation, which needs training on all the changed aspirations. So along with all these things, when we are going to reimagine curriculum, reimagine pedagogy, this time on the basis of research findings, we need to integrate humor also, because we sometimes, majority of the times, we ignore humor in teaching learning process. While research us that humor when integrated into the teaching content leads to better learning, arouses interest, and makes task more enjoyable, and enables the involvement of people in the learning to such an extent that pupil perceives time as going more quickly and even feels like staying for longer. So we need to integrate in our pedagogy, in our curriculum, sense of humor. Humor we need to integrate, because research findings are very in good number. Research findings are coming out now. In order to reimagine, I am having two concerns to share with you. I'm having two concerns to share with you. Concern number one, and I'm sure you all will be agreeing with me. Concern number one is, regardless of what language students are taught in, the biggest challenge confronting education system in India is its obsession with mastering examinations through rote learning. So this is concern one, how to overcome this concern while reimagining curriculum and pedagogy along as principle of policy suggests. The concern number two is, Indian education system operates like a sorting mechanism, having major concern of completing the prescribed syllabus than mastery over subjects. And reasons are very clear. Reason being, to make our students exam ready. Why? Because for teachers, pass percentage are the only key indicators of their accountability and responsibility, and this kind of expectations has been posed by the society and parents itself, and therefore rote learning becomes primary means to achieve it. So we need to take care of these two concerns also. I don't know how many of you can follow Hindi. In my classes I often share one line that दीमकों को पढ़ना, दीमक मतलब termites. Deemak means termites. I'm sure you all are aware termites, which you can see in your furniture, in your library. So I share one line in my classes: दीमकों को पढ़ना तो नहीं आता, दीमकों को पढ़ना तो नहीं आता, पर चाट जाती हैं किताब. दीमकों को पढ़ना तो नहीं आता, पर चाट जाती हैं किताब. Termites are not capable of reading, but if you go to the library, they किताब को वो चाट जाती हैं. So we need to save our students for becoming a deemak. And when I share these lines, I immediately refer one very famous quotation of mine, which I have taken from John Dewey. John Dewey used to say that if we teach today as we taught yesterday, then we rob the children of tomorrow. So if we teach today as we taught yesterday, then we rob the children of tomorrow. And therefore, technology has become a reality. Therefore, we need to understand, what we need to understand is, we need to understand that technology is a means only. Technology is a means only. Technology is not at all an end for us. Technology is a means and not at all an end. And therefore, we need to use technology judiciously. And therefore, we need to understand, we all know about TPACK, TPACK. We all are aware on TPACK. I am adding one more A to this TPACK. One more A I am adding from my side. Now I am saying TPAACK. TPAACK. That means technology, pedagogy, assessment, and content knowledge. So the demand of the time is, we need to make ourselves comfortable, aware, acquainted on technology, on pedagogy, on assessment, and of course, content knowledge is there as a. And when pedagogy, reimagining pedagogy, therefore, we need to keep all the three segments of pedagogy. Which three segments? Transmittive pedagogy, generative pedagogy, and transformative pedagogy. Transmittive pedagogy, generative pedagogy, and transformative pedagogy. When I'm saying transmittive, generative, and transformative, let me relate it with the memory level of teaching, understanding level of teaching, and reflective level of teaching. I have observed one confusion among the teachers that all the time reflective level teaching is good. No, not for as a teacher, whenever you feel that memory is required, because memory is base for all the higher levels of teaching. So if you don't have memory, understanding will not work. When you don't have understanding, reflection. So memory, then understanding, then reflection. Memory, then understanding, then reflection. So as a teacher, if you feel that you need content for memory level, you go for memory level, you go for transmission, you go for information. If you feel for understanding, you go for understanding, you go for generative, you go for cultured. And if you feel for reflection, you go for reflection, you go for transformation, transformative pedagogy, etc. So while doing these things, we need to keep in mind the 4 pillars of Dahler's Commission report. And I'm sure you all are aware on this particular report of UNESCO, that is Learning the Treasure Within report. Learning the Treasure Within report. And the name of the report itself is very, very wonderful. Learning the Treasure Within. Again, they have taken implications from our own legacy. Learning the treasure within, which we have focused, which we had been focusing since time immemorial. So this particular report I am referring because this particular report of UNESCO, Learning the Treasure Within report, has referred to 4 pillars of learning. I'm sure you all are aware of those 4 pillars of learning: learning to know, learning to do, learning to be, and learning to live together. Learning to live together. And while all doing all these things, I would like to share with you to read Paulo Freire, to read Sylvia Ashton. Paulo Freire everybody knows, but what I have observed that very few of us know about Sylvia Ashton. Sylvia Ashton had been the teacher in New Zealand, and she wrote one book, and the title of the book is Teacher. The title of the book is Teacher. It is a easily available book, Teacher. So you need to read that book, Sylvia Ashton, Teacher. Then you need to read the largely sold book of this globe, Toto-chan. Toto-chan is a Japanese book, and it has been translated in all Indian languages, Toto-chan. And during last lockdown, I read one book. And since I have read this book, I am referring this book to that group of teachers wherever I'm meeting them afresh. The title of the book is Jugaad. Jugaad. Jugaad is a Hindi word. Since the author could not find the appropriate meaning in Hindi, so they have given title Innovation. And the book is in English only. And Nabi Radzau, Nodeep Ahuja, they have written this book. The foreword of the book, this book has been written by Ratan Tata, and introduction of this book has been written by Sam Pitroda. Anyways, why I am referring this book? Because this particular book is based on 6 principles. 6 principles. And my dear friends, my dear colleagues, I may be wrong, but as a teacher, I feel that these 6 principles are having potential to change our complete mindset. The principle number 1 on which this book is based, and as a teacher, I like this principle, all the 6 principles. The principle number 1 is seek opportunity in adversity. Seek opportunity in adversity. Seek opportunity in adversity. Principle number 2 is do more with less. Do more with less. This principle is very helpful. So far as the teachers teaching in public institution, government institution are concerned. Do more with less. Do more with less. Then number 3 principle is think and act flexibly. Think and act flexibly. Then principle number 4 is keep it simple. Keep it simple. Then principle number 5 is include the margin. Include the margin. And the principle number 6 is follow your heart, which I as a teacher believe like anything. Follow your heart. Follow your heart. So one more thing I would like to share with you, and then I will be stopping my deliberation. And this I am taking from Kathopanishad, where it was said that Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunuktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejashvina Vadhit Mastuma Vidishwavahe. This was a Sanskrit slok from Kathopanishad which says Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunuktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejashvina Vadhit Mastuma Vidishwavahe. What is the meaning of this slok is May we both be protected. May we both be nourished. May we both work together with great energy. May our intellect be sharpened. Let there be no animosity amongst us. Why I have taken reference of this sloka, my dear friends, because in our country, we have sometimes debated on teacher-centered teaching learning process, sometimes debated student-centered teaching learning process, sometimes debated learning-centered teaching learning process, while the fact is all were wrong and incomplete all the time, because this shloka from Kathopanishad make us very clear that both are equally important. That means teacher and student both are equally important. What I mean to say is that both are equally important. We need to understand our legacy before entering the copycat culture of Western countries. Then only this reimagining will be in its own unique sense, in its own sense, in its original sense, will be there. With this, I would like to conclude here. Thank you so much for listening me with the great patience. Now the floor is open for interaction. You can have your queries, you can have your concerns, you can have your differences with us.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
The first challenge of NPE is coping with technology. So how is this related to the 17 and means how does it relate to the 17 sustainable development goals? There are 17 sustainability development goals, right?
Okay.
So how is this related? Can you please explain in detail?
Yes, Sri Lakshmiji. Yes. See, NEP, I said that there are 17 sustainable development goals. All the 17 sustainable development goals are integrated. That means if we will be working on any specific goal, it will affect all other 16 goals. Fine. Now,
yes, sir.
Now, if you look at the policy NEP 2020, it is focusing on goal number 4. It is focusing on goal number 4. What is goal number 4? Goal number 4 is quality education.
Quality education. Yes.
Okay. So if NEP can address this goal, can achieve this goal, it will affect all the 17, all other 16 sustainable development goals. That means with this NEP, our whole sole intention is to achieve quality education. In order to achieve quality education, keeping in view the circumstances, we are bound to cope up with technology. However, if you look at the scenario, COVID-19 triggered and make us comfortable, very comfortable with the technology. Still, it is not. We are discussing over a technology. We have found a link, clicked on link, connected to the forum. We are discussing. This is not a use of technology. Use of technology is how you will be taking admission, arranging your admission, arranging your library, arranging your assessment, etc. So coping with technology ultimately will be affecting quality, which ultimately affecting all the 16 sustainable development goals.
Okay, this technology, yes, sir. This technology is going to give rise, like we have to get those devices even for the technology, okay? To
yes, technology.
Yeah.
See,
So
every
this is
day,
going
every
to
day we are
increase
facing.
and this is going to increase the industrialization. Is it not so? And this is going to affect the environment. So that's what I feel. That is my personal feeling. So I just asked to clarify.
It is not that it is going to increase industrialization. Rather, you should say like this: different industrialists will be intervening, they'll be encroaching, will be investing in education field so far as advent and advancement of technology is concerned, and different capitalist forces, different investors, different industrialists are eyeing at this whole education, and that is why you can see every day we are receiving new updates so far as technological advancements are concerned.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Welcome. I was expecting that there will be bombarding of questions. You can share your own idea also. You can not only question, you can share your idea, you can share your concern, you can share your differences. And it is not necessary that you share in English only. You can share in your own regional language, in Hindi, in regional language, in your mother tongue, whatever. But your idea, your expression should come out.
Jeevan ji.
Sir, and one more
Sir,
question I have.
Yeah.
Can I?
Yes, Srishmi,
Yeah, so it is going to be a holistic approach. That means, is it going to be because now we are following like we are following the student-centered approach, right? So I asked this question even yesterday. So is it going to be a teacher-centered education, because we are going to follow the ancient system of education? That's what it has come in between. So how is it going to be? Is it going to be a teacher-centered education or a student?
I got your point. I got your point. And that is why at last I shared one sloka from Kathopanishad where it says, Sahana vavatu sahano bhunuktu sahaviryam karvavahe tejashvina madhitumastu ma vidishwavahe. What is the meaning of this sloka? This sloka means, may we both be protected. Who we both? With the teacher and the student. So this sloka shows, may we both be protected. May we both be nourished. May we both work together with great energy. May our intellect be sharpened. Let there be no animosity amongst us. और जब मैंने श्लोक शेयर किया तो मैंने when I shared this श्लोक, I referred that I have taken this shloka in reference because in our country sometimes we said we need to have teacher centered, we need to have sometimes learner centered, sometimes we need to have learning centered. So all these, whether I say teacher centered or learning centered or learner centered, all are incomplete. So our legacy tells us that both are important. So it is the high time when we need to come up from this kind of mindset that teacher centered or learner centered or learning centered. No, it is both centered. Teacher was important, teacher is important, teacher will remain important. Whatever technological advancements are going to be there, it is a teacher only who is going to make best or worst of technology. It is a teacher only who is going to make best or worst of technology. Therefore, I repeatedly say that teacher was important, teacher is important, teacher will remain important. And this is the high time when we come up, when we need to come up from that mindset, and we need to consider that both are equally important, teacher and the student. Shri Lakshmi ji.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, thank you very much, sir, for your very inspiring and thought-provoking lecture. Hello, sir. This is Vasu.
Yes, Vasu, please.
Sir, I have a little bit low bandwidth. I'm not able to switch on the camera.
No issues.
As you said that I am completely agree, sir. That is that any kind of approach should not be like either teacher centered or student centered or learning centered. Or if you take one stand, obviously the balance will lose its balance. And in India, I feel that for the past, as you said, even after 70 years of independence, so we are not able to achieve that balance because of we are either go this side or that side. So, and the problem here is that the people like you, intellectuals who are actually working on this thing, they are not being heard by the policymakers properly. So a very sad situation like that. See, they don't even sometimes people, they don't know what to read and how to comprehend the things, and they make policies. And I have been watching the national education policies, including the NEP 2020. Unfortunately, that whatever is there in the paper, I am not sure that it will come into the reality before we get another national education policy. Every national education policy is being like, for it becoming for the sake of academicians and educationists. So main problem, that holistic approach in India, though we have the great legacy as you said, but because of the copied Western centered copied education, what we have been following, and not able to come out of that, I don't know how we can overcome this to find an organic way to provide a holistic education system which actually give freedom to a student and a teacher, because of as you said that we are always focusing on the quantity, not the quality. And if we give quality, if you focus on the quality, and there may be unnecessary advantage taken by the individuals. So all these are really big problems for the country like India with a huge population. And only thing I feel that the people like you are heard properly by the policy makers, and they have some kind of, we call it a chitta suddhi, like doing the things in true spirit, or making things possible. Because I'm a musician, I don't find any kind of importance given to art forms, or see, if you are making few things religious, though they are very important, and no importance given. So the West has already started giving credits to all these subjects, and they are given proper weightage, and they are given equal opportunities. As I said, the access of music, access of education. Now the problem is to get education is itself is a big problem, and people are asking that how are you expecting that music education to reach all the people? So a lot of
I
problems.
got the essence. I got the essence of your concern, Vasu. I got the essence, but your concern has been addressed by National Education Policy 2020. If you refer the policy, you will be finding that policy has quoted Banabhat Kadambri's 64 arts. What is that Banabhat Kadambri 64 arts? It says that it has subjects such as singing, painting, scientific field, vocational field, professional field, scientific skill field, soft skill field, etc. So your concern has been addressed by the policy itself. I am precisely referring you today. If you get time, you just download the policy and read the point, or read the point 11. Point 11. You will be finding there they have addressed the Banabhat Kadambari 64 Kalas, where singing, painting, music, scientific, vocational, all fields they have been discussed in order to make education holistic and multidisciplinary. Because we have been trained in such a way, sometimes we feel difficult to imagine the kind of multidisciplinarity, but policy is aware of this, and policy has quoted Banabhat Kadambari, Vasu.
Yes, sir. Actually, the same thing has been even they have addressed and kept in the previous national education policies also. In this educational policy, so actually my PhD thesis itself in music education, when compared to the India and the West, and have been researching on the timeline of 4,000 years, what has given, what the country has given us from our ancient wisdom, and where we lost. Even in this NEP, sir, like NCERT Arts and Education Wing head Josna Tiwari I was in touch with her, and I tried to send some articles. Everything on paper, it is good, sir. So
that is what I am saying. That is what I am repeatedly saying, that we need to convert all such intent and content into actionable action. Otherwise this policy will be adding +1, nothing else.
That is the only thing that I think, if government is very much interested in executing it in true spirit by listening to the educationists like you, either you or we got a lecture on the first day, Professor Sudhakar Gari was talking about the ancient wisdom, what we lost because of the Mughal and British invasions or rules and all. But I actually waiting for all those things to get into practicality and give some fruits, sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
I understood.
Good to listen. Can you also intervene, sir?
Yeah, please.
Sir, just now one sir spoke, Devasena. What's your name, sir? Devesh? Vasuji. It's we who have to, take it forward, friend. It's not just the responsibility of the government, okay? And it's not new to us. The rich heritage what we had right from ancient period, we have this Gnana, Bhakti and Karma. Gnana, Bhakti, Karma is Gnana acquisition with Bhakti, with the passion, with commitment. And we do it. That's what the previous national policies are saying, and also National Curriculum Framework 2005 also focusing on experiential learning. And even today, we talk about this NEP 2020 is focusing on experiential learning and work education. It's a child-centered. How it is child-centered? It's not new to us, right? From ancient time, we are doing that. Totally, the child is involved. The work and education are not separable. Work and education are not separable, right? From work, you take the reflections. Reflections are helping again to enhance the knowledge. This is how it goes. It's not at all new to us. This work-centered and child-centered, learner-centered learning is not new to us. Even Bloom's taxonomy, what we are learning and practicing in the teaching practice and all lesson plans, even he says that CAP, cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. In a similar way, Mahatma Gandhi also said 3 heads. And our ancient philosophers, educationalists also, our Gurukul system also speaks about the Gnana, Bhakti, and Karma. Gnana. And Della's report also speaks about doing, right? On the 4 pillars, whatever Della says, the treasure is within. That's what Vivekananda said. Gandhi said the ancient philosophy is speaking about, ancient educationalists and Gurukul system is speaking about. So it's nothing new. So it has been practiced earlier. Only the thing is 1885 onwards, when Macaulay has gone through and he has submitted his report to Queen, and they were trying to prepare the glorified clerks for them. Then he has gone across the nation and he said that his report speaks that there are no beggars, there are no there is no unemployment, and there are no thieves. That's what his report speaks, which means we don't rely on others' effort. We have 100% employment is there, literacy is there, right? We were self-dependent, our villages were self-dependent, and this is just from after their entry. This has impacted whole education system. We were just working with the cognitive domain, and just we are completely away from our affective domain. What you said, music and all, we are completely aware of that, aware from that, and the doing part is nil, completely nil. So now our children doesn't know anything. If they take something, they don't know how to stitch it. If they want to eat, they don't know. And I was wondering, in one of the teaching practice classes, the child says that from where do you get the rice? They say that it's from supermarket. That's what is the understanding of the children. So we are away from doing. So this is what NEP 2020 is speaking about. It's trying to refocus. See what was the culture and how we lost it. Ancient period, these world-class institutions we had. The people from China, you have seen, you read in the history, right?
Nalanda and Takshashila were the...
And they have seen that. See, that time we had the universities where 1,500 scholars were there. You know that we have great institutions, and also the scholars we had, educationalists we had, Charaka, Shushruta. What tool the Charaka must have used? You please tell me. What iron pillar is used for iron pillar is used. Okay, till date it is not rusted. Till date we don't know what tools the Charaka must have used. He did a first cataract operation. So that great doing and working, and this is how our culture was. So we are ourselves away from this, and now it's high time for us to decolonize our minds and look back. Introspect. And I'll tell you one small example. We look at the God. The God is beyond idol, right? The God is beyond the idol, and this is we are how like a God beyond the education, beyond the idol. The education also is beyond the marks, grades, modules, disciplines, terminology, degrees, certificates. See, this is what Vivekananda said. You just see that the education means character formation. Okay, and the guru of Vivekananda, as you know, he's the disciple of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, and who will you will really wonder that Ramakrishna Paramahamsa ji cannot write his name. He was uneducated, but he was a mentor for many renowned persons nationally and internationally. Okay, so this is what our culture is doing. We believe in doing. Okay, we believe when we do, we apply our mind. When we do with passion. So that's what. So it's we who have to see that our commitment will help in NEP 2020 to take forward. So that's what a small feeling of mine and observation of mine.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Sir,
so
good
much.
evening, sir.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. I
Sorry,
actually
yeah.
completely agree. Sorry for interrupting, Divya madam.
Sorry,
So,
sir, I could not. I
I-
forgot your name.
Yeah, Somalini
Vasuji.
madam, thank you,
Vasuji.
madam.
Vasuji.
Yeah,
Vasuji.
individual
But
level,
wonderful,
as
the
I
way you expressed, wonderfully you have expressed. And sir also nicely,
I
he has,
accept, madam.
trying
individual
to
as
give.
an individual, we all work, madam. But the thing is that we all are under a bureaucratic system that we need to accept. Either it is a teacher or a professor or someone. But the thing is that, see, madam, as you said that we are individually.
Also, I'm sorry, I'm intervening. I have to attend one meeting at 5:15. So if you can conclude and you can discuss.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Please go ahead, madam. We'll talk
Wonderful,
later.
wonderful,
Thank you very much, sir.
lecture.
Murali Garu,
Wonderful
you please
inputs.
intervene.
Murali sir. Murali sir.
Thank you, everyone.
I thank
Murali
Professor Ashish Srivastava sir for sharing his vast and rich knowledge with the limited time available in a nutshell. I request Hussain ji to propose vote of thanks.
I thank you, Professor Ashish Srivastava garu. In spite of his throat pain, he spent so much time and his continuous speech and clarified the doubts. Actually, most of the teachers, if not at least myself, I'm not aware of all these amendments and policies which are done. As a teacher in the result-oriented present generation, I used to take the textbook, go through the problems, do in the class. But in framing the curriculum and framing the policies, whatever the pain the scholars and educationists have taken, that these many amendments happened. Today, really, I came to know about all this. And I thank Professor Sir for his excellent information shared with all of us, and the Humayun Kabir's and the jokes and the parrot training, which was completely refers the present naked truth of the education system, and the most importantly, the 4 stages of total quality management and decoding 5 pillars. Sir, you have given the excellent information to me, and today definitely I'm going to buy the 2 books what you have referred to go through it. But one is by Jiddu Krishnamurthy's books, and second one is Jugaad. So I thank you on behalf of all my colleagues. I thank you for your excellent information and your time given to us. And I thank our coordinators also for giving this opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Keep in touch.
Sir, thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you,
It's not so,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sure,
so
sir.
easy to speak for 3 hours without any presentation.
Thank you, sir.
You said that if you cannot use your head like that, you said you have used your
Overhead.
complete intellectual
Yeah.
brain.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Murali sir, anything else?
It has went on very well. Now you can hear my voice, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So thank you so much. You please continue with the same spirit, and by night or by tomorrow morning, we will keep the share that schedule to you without disturbing much of your things. We will completely consider that. And the Muraliji, I have seen that reporter and the leader is the same person. So we will follow
Yeah.
the same thing. So the work of the person will start just evening before the evening, finding out the details of the next day resource persons, and they the leader, and that will be continued up to next day morning. They will submit the report. That is how it will be happening. For each one of you, your day will start before the evening. You will find out the details of the resource persons of the next day, and then next day you will be the leader of the floor, and following day, the third day morning, you will submit your report, right? You will present your report and you will submit your report to the editorial board. So that is how each one of you will be having the pre and post and during the active leader role. Okay, this is how it will go. Okay, we will see the same names and same thing, clubbing the two, leaders list and the editor committee list, we combine. Okay, is that fine, Andy, to everybody? Yeah, let us, I'm leaving.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay?
No issues.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Wonderful work you are doing. Great.
Just share it in advance so that they will be prepared.
What I do is today I'll place that, and anyhow you have my contact number and the Jason contact number. We will see that the resource persons' names will reach you, okay, and their backgrounds and all we will send it to you. And your role is collect the information. Next day you maintain that show. The following day you will make a note of everything and present the report. So that seems to be convenient to you. That is how I have seen your plan of work. So we will follow that. In addition, editorial board will be there. Deliverable committee also will be there. They will see that the whole program is on track. Right, Andy? Right, my dear colleagues. Yes.
Thank you, madam.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Andy. I'm leaving. Okay. God bless you all. Stay safe.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. And
Jalandhar sir.
Jalandhar,
Recording stopped.
Jalandhar sir is not here.
Okay,
He is not.
sir.
He is not there.
Yeah, I thank all the teachers.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, is it as per the QT chat which you have posted?
I think they might be changing a few things, madam. We'll see.
Sir, you
Okay, sir.
even if they change,
can
doesn't
share the
matter,
talk,
madam.
then
If there is any problem, we will try to adjust among ourselves. Don't worry about that.
Sir, and
Sure,
one
sure.
more thing I would like to ask, sir, like how is this going to be like implementation of this IP in the classroom? How is it going to be? Because a student is going to acquire so many skills. So will there be different teachers for it, and how is it possible? I just wanted to ask this question.
No, even I wanted to ask the same.
The same
How
question.
the training is going to be carried out.
Exactly. And so,
Ma'am, will you please repeat?
regarding
Sir,
the implementation of NPE, sir, how is it going to be? How is it going to be brought into classrooms? Is it by the separate teachers, okay, who are trained in it, or will the teachers be trained for it and then be brought to the classroom? How is it going to be implemented? This is a
Madam,
clarity.
Yeah, madam, as you rightly asked, definitely it will take its own sweet time to the NEP to become reality. Okay. In the meantime, what I understood or what I came to know that, the university is starting MEd course in the university, and most likely when they start, MEd in the university, probably they will put this NEP 2020 into MEd curriculum or something, and their students or whoever it is, they will come and they will help us if required. Maybe I'm just guessing, or we can take the help of the Department of DEET again, to do it. But definitely it will take very long time to get into reality, as Dr. Vasudevan, pointed out that before the next education policy comes into existence, this policy will not be truly implemented. That you take it for granted, because 2019 the draft was made, 2020 it was released, and 22 and nobody knows about it except the the people who are involved in that, and only the higher academia, these professors and all, whoever are involved in that, only those people know about it. But at grassroots level it has not reached. And the professor is saying that Japanese model of education, where is that? You see,
that will come later, sir. Okay, that we are not bothered, because that is the government is going to decide whether it is equality. Already they have increased the fees for engineering in Telangana. So where is equality? So no, that is not going to come. Local bodies are not able to, state bodies is not able to follow. So how is that going to come? It's going to take a long time. That we are not bothered. The only thing is, into our classroom, let us be very specific, like into our classroom, how are we going to bring this system? Is it the trained ones who are going to teach the skills to the students, or will we be trained to
this I have an answer. See, how many of us know how to prepare the meetings, joining, making Google forms before the pandemic? We all learned. We will learn. So definitely whatever we can do it, we will do it, and gradually it will.
We'll do it.
those who cannot sing, they cannot. Those who cannot. What will they do, sir?
Madam,
We don't know how to play the instruments. What will we teach the children?
Of doing things. Very videos and all, we were not at all aware of doing.
Srilakshmi madam, simple
Yes,
answer to your question is.
Sir, in very short, sir. In very short form, so that I can understand.
The necessity is mother of invention.
Yeah, that is true. Necessity is mother of invention.
Necessity is the mother of invention. One word saying, that's all.
That is what, correct.
As per the need, we are changing ourselves. That's all.
Yes, that's all.
Madam, mostly
Madam, actually, I came to know that when we implement a national education policy in the schools, there will be some school cultures, 5 or 6 schools together, there will be a culture formation, and the knowledge will be shared.
Okay.
From one school to other. Okay, that is also one possibility is there. We'll see, madam. We'll wait and we'll see. And as our teachers are doing excellently in, they have learned the digital technology like that. As rightly said, Madrakshi madam, everything is necessity is mother of invention.
Necessity.
So,
Sir, we will become only bad cooks, sir.
Madam, don't say like that.
No. Even we can do better than that.
And I once again thank everyone. Madam, చెప్పండి మేడం.
ఇంగ్లీష్ సిలబస్ మారింది కదా, లాంగ్వేజ్ అండ్ లిటరేచర్ నుంచి ఇంటరాక్టివ్ ఇంగ్లీష్.
అవును.
వాళ్ళ సిబిఎస్ఈ స్కూల్స్. అప్పుడు సిబిఎస్ఈ ఏం చేసింది, కొంతమంది టీచర్స్ కి ట్రైనింగ్ ఇచ్చింది. ఆ ట్రైనింగ్ తీసుకున్న టీచర్స్ వెళ్ళి వేరే స్కూల్స్ కి వెళ్ళి వాళ్ళు ఆ టీచర్లకు ట్రైనింగ్ ఇచ్చారు. సార్ శ్రీనివాస్ చెప్పండి. మన కాంత టీచర్
మేడం. అవును,
అట్లా నేషనల్ లెవెల్లో ట్రైనింగ్ ఇచ్చి ఆ ట్రైనింగ్ తీసుకున్న టీచర్స్ కి కొంతమందిని అలాట్ చేసి ట్రైనింగ్ ఇచ్చేటట్టుగా చేస్తారు. దాని గురించి మనం అంత చర్చ అవసరం లేదు.
ఓన్లీ క్యాజువల్ మీట్ మేడం, అంతే. దట్స్ ఇట్.
మేడం ఇప్పుడు
discussion amidst ourselves, Ray. It is nothing in particular. Just మనం చేస్తున్నాం.
అదే తీసుకుంటే ఉండొచ్చు కదా నీకు.
Just అయినా
అప్పుడు ఏం జరిగింది
మోల్డ్ కావాలా అట్లా మోల్డ్ అయితేనే ఉన్నాము.
అంటే ఈ కొత్త వాళ్ళకి తెలుసు కదమ్మా.
We are doing.
పాత వాళ్ళకైతే తెలుసు కానీ కొత్త వాళ్ళకి తెలియదు కదా.
No problem. Now DEET is there. We can bank on DEET for some help.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Fatima madam.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam. Please end the meeting.
Yes.